Hi, Naked Author, Jason William Michener Galbraith, greatest author of my generation, GAOMG. Just want to go over everything that I found on my ancestors, going to being descended from Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, and now finding out so much more, kings of England that I'm also descended from, to also finding out descended from kings of France. And it's all from my Boggs, ancestors that were the Livingston family. And this is how I found like my whole descension, and I cross-reference everything that I can to make it as, make sure it's as accurate as possible. So this just starts, me out, and then that's my biological father, and then to my great-grandfather that married this Reese Gardner. Gardner's dad married Frances Boggs. And then we get to the Boggs, Aaron Boggs Jr., Aaron Boggs Sr., and then their father, Joseph Boggs, and James Boggs, and they came from Londonderry, where they were exiled there and had to change their names from Livingston. So when I looked at my ancestors here, that's Aaron Boggs Jr., his dad, Aaron Boggs Sr., and they have their daughter, Frances Lewis Boggs. So all of that checks out. And then this is their father, the James Alexander Boggs. And I found this article that's really cool that just talks about how they had to change their names and why they went from Livingston to Boggs and exiled to Londonderry. So this just talks about James Boggs, that he was, that's him right there, James Boggs. And all of this can be like verified, looked up by anybody. But it just talks about that he lived near Londonderry. He's believed to be the son of John Livingston, and the Livingstons were Scot Presbyterians exiled to Ireland, and they had to live in the bogs near Londonderry and adopted the name Boggs from Livingston. So that's his father right there, is John Livingston, and that his name went from Livingston to Boggs, like the article just mentioned. And then when I followed up on the Livingstons and followed my ancestry, from there, from James to his father here, John Livingston, that came from Scotland, from Stirlingshire and everything. And then just seeing how powerful, the Livingstons were here. And I can follow them all the way to this Aaron, right here to Alexander, the 5th Lord, Sir Alexander Livingston the 5th, and who he married. That's where I made the discovery about being also descended from the kings of England. And this is how I did that, is he married this Agnes Douglas Morton, Lady of Livingston. And then when I looked at his wife right here is Agnes Douglas of Morton. And then when I saw her father was this 2nd Earl Morton, and then his father is James Douglas, and he married, and this is the key moment in my ancestry, is that this James Douglas, his wife, is the Countess Joanne Stuart. And so when I followed this right here that married the Douglas, the Agnes Douglas, and then her father, and then to follow his father, and then that married this Princess Stuart, and seeing the Countess Joanne Stuart and seeing who her father is, this is where everything in my ancestry has become so powerful and so much royalty, is that when you click on the Countess Joanne Stuart, her father right here is James I, King of Scotland. And I mean, all of that can be verified. You can do this whole like backtrack like I've done as well. And when you see, like, this is my ancestry right here. This is the James I, King of Scotland, and then his wife. And then this James I, King of Scotland, will go all the way to Robert II. That is descended from, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, through Princess Marjorie Bruce, the daughter of Robert the Bruce. So, and I have all that DNA that matches it. That whole sequence is DNA verified and verified here as well. And then when I was looking at all of the kings of England through James I, King of Scotland, because he married these French, very high, powerful women. They were also King of England. Edward III, that I'm descended from, right here. He also married, his father married Edward II, married, it's Isabella of France. And this is where it gets really exciting with, you know, everything that I found here. It just blows me away. And it just keeps going from all of the kings of England that I'm descended from. And then through the King of England II, from the Queen of France. Then it goes to all of her fathers that are all like, you know, Louis I. And I never knew, you know, all of these kings of France that all come from, you know, being married to the kings of England. So, you know, power marries, I guess, like power and everything like that. So for me to discover all this and then be able to verify it all is like so amazing for me. And to be able to write it all, you know, in my ancestry. And then I could see, like, this is my biological father. I could see even he has the Boggs in there. He was never able to take it with 21st century technology as far as I can go and verifying everything, cross-reference it. But at least he knows that, you know, Boggs are part of our ancestry, and they were the Livingstons. And from the Livingstons, you know, the fact that I can document and show you right from the Countess Joanne Stuart to James I of Scotland, and then how that goes to all the kings, you know, of England and the kings of France. It's just really amazing for me, and like everything that I've written about, and then for it to come back to, you know, to like Ireland that I already wrote about, you know, in my third book, in my first trilogy that I wrote. And to have that all like documented here, you know, by journalists that wrote about this, that I had to write my trilogy no matter what. You know, how much money have I made? Nothing. But I have to write these books. And this person really wrote it well, is that it says that From Michener spent the next two years writing his first novel about Thomas William Michener's life during the Gold Rush and Civil War areas. He sent his manuscripts everywhere to literary agents and met with no success. So this just talks about he's also working on his second novel, you know, Red Sea Divided, that I did and wrote it all. No AI, no ghostwriters. And I wrote my second novel, Red Sea Divided, which is the prequel to my first book that I ever wrote about my ancestors, Full Moon Rising. That novel will be based on Thomas William Michener's grandfather who fought in the Revolutionary War. And then his third novel, which will be the first of his trilogy, is also in the works. And that's what I did. And I wrote all of this. And the way that all of my ancestors that I've written about come together on this, I mean, I just found out, like, you know, about my Galbraith, that I'm a Galbraith, the Scottish clan and all that type of stuff. And in my book, I just looked up, like, the last chief of Galbraith was this Robert Galbraith, the 17th chief. He lost the Colquitt Castle. That's the other castle. I'm going for the Bardowie Castle for now. But the other castle that we have that's standing is this one, the Colquitt Castle. And then he lost all of his lands, everything, in 1631. And then he went to Ireland. And again, all of my ancestors, everything that I'm writing about, all is going to meet in Ireland. And I've already been writing it. And I mean, when you look at everything that I've written, this is 759 pages, 200,000 words. And I'm already written about, you know, all of this stuff. It's amazing. I looked up at the ceiling and then I saw Christina and shouted, Sweet Christ, this is the lad. Christina took my empty goblet, waved it to the bar. She handed her other 2 goblets. She knew the pain that I bore in my soul. My son, that was the life of me, James Galbraith, my heir, the next chief of Clan Galbraith, was gone forever. I had tasted death many times from close loved ones and family. I had lost a brother in battle, another close family from the plague and other horrors. But the pain of knowing my son, James, was so close to me, and there was nothing I could do in my power to reach him again. It was a pain I never knew could exist. I think you could pretty much feel when you read the book that the author is writing pretty authentically, from the heart. So I've written my trilogies. I've done all this research. I wrote all these books all myself. I could push print right now and be done with this. This is one of the greatest things. Over 20 years, a life worth of work. And what I've discovered through my Boggs, Livingston, the Walkers, Robert the Bruce, King of the Scots, I never knew who I am. Now I know I'm also descended from all these kings of England, kings of France. I will take my DNA, give it to University of Strathclyde, anywhere you want. When I come to Scotland, that dude that was trying to gaslight me and everything like that, when I found out that I'm descended from Robert the Bruce, oh, I want to throw all of this in his face. What I've done is, that's why that guy was so jealous and had to send me all of his credentials and like all of that he's done, because he knows he's never going to accomplish what nobody else on planet Earth has, is, or will ever do, is what I'm doing. I mean, there's something back then that made me write my trilogies, and I'm writing them to this day, 200,000 words that I've written, and I've connected them all from my Galbraith ancestor that left everything and exiled or fled to Ireland, to my real Livingston, Boggs, that were there in Londonderry, the Walkers, and I write about Captain Kidd, the greatest pirate of all of Scotland. So everything that I've done, this is the greatest work I've ever done, the greatest thing I will ever accomplish in my life. And for me to find how powerful my ancestors are and what I'm doing, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I just have to have a heart surgery, and if I die, I'll have my partner print this, so at least I'll know all the trilogies come together. I did it. You should just push print right now. You're not going to read these books. Nobody's going to read the books. But I can't. I have to keep writing them. And, my ancestors pump inside of me, in my blood and in my head, and it forces me to do things that nobody else has ever done, is ever doing, or will ever be able to do. I do what nobody else can do, and I'm doing it, and it's all on YouTube. It's all in my books on Amazon. It's everywhere. Cheers.